ladies and gentlemen, your favorite white colonizer, Tall, the traveling clad. Yeah, I'm doubling down on this white colonizer merch. Coming to you live from the United States of America. Get your white colonizer merch down below in the description at thetravelingclad.com. We've got a video that's a little bit harder to intake today. Yesterday, I did a sort of a little reaction to the 60 Minutes interview with Yarden Bibas, the father of the Bibas family, whose family was tragically murdered by Hamas on October 7th and beyond in Hamas captivity. There's a clip going viral, and Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment and Adam Sosnick actually had a bit of a chime in, and I was really interested to get their take in as well. So I wanted to sort of do a reaction to reaction. Let's take a look at this clip.
Let me kind of go to a clip that's gone viral, folks, in the last couple days. It's Lesley Stahl's viral clip from 60 Minutes interview that people are reacting to. It's absolutely berserk. Even Scott Jennings had to say some stuff about this earlier. This is a 60-minute interview with freed Israeli-American hostage Keith Siegel, went viral after she asked the following question. Go ahead, Rob.
The terrorists became very mean and very cruel and violent.
More so.
Much more so. They were beating me and starving me.
Do you think they starved you, or they just didn't have food?
I think they starved me, and they would often eat in front of me and not offer me food.
Go back to that question one more time, Rob. Okay, go ahead.
That question.
Do you think they starved you, or they just didn't have food?
Can we hear that one more time, Rob? Just one more time. Yeah, go, one more time. I just want to hear.
Do you think they starved you, or they just didn't have food?
Okay, I want to everybody that's watching this. Okay, if you were a journalist, would you ever in a million years ask that question?
Fuck no.
I would actually want to.
Fuck no. What in the world was going through her head? I know I told everybody, I recommended everybody who was watching my video yesterday, go watch the full 60 Minutes interview. But Jesus Christ, that's the question she asked Keith Siegel. I'm like actually baffled because I was just driving today from doctor appointment to doctor appointment, and I saw this clip. I was like, holy shit, why would you think it's okay to ask that question?
I want to know who said yes. Okay, think about the question. Play it one more time, Rob. Play it one more time. Go a little bit back. Okay, right there.
Do you think they starved you, or they just didn't have food?
So who's she talking? So, hey, you're a kid. They interviewed a kid. My parents never had food to eat. And the kid is an anorexic, whatever, 70-pound, 5'8" kid, okay? And the reporter asked, do you think they starved you or they just didn't have any food? It's a bit of a weird question to ask, right? It's a bit of a weird question to be asking on 60 Minutes. And another one of those reasons why they're losing credibility. Vinny, your thoughts when you see something like this?
I mean, when I heard this yesterday, I didn't believe it because I was like, no, this has to be either AI or something. But it's one of the most dumbest, tone-deaf questions to ask a torture victim who's been captive from Hamas for over, 480 days? And like, imagine being tortured, starved, and beaten down by terrorists, and you come back. And mind you, she's Jewish herself. How are you asking that question? And it's like either she's pretending to be clueless.
Look, as a Jewish person, I don't think there's anything. I don't think it has anything to do with it. We have plenty of American Jews this year have disappointed all of Israel. And I'm not throwing all American Jews under the bus. Calm your tits, everybody. All right, calm down. Calm down. Breathe. That's not what Tal is saying. I'm just saying that plenty of American Jews have disappointed all of us, all of Am Yisrael in the last year. So this isn't like a thing to do with specifically. I mean, plenty of Jews, period, even Jews in Israel, have disappointed all of Am Yisrael and the whole Jewish world in the last year. We've got plenty of Jews that have just kind of fucked up. All I'll say is like the fact that he goes, and she's a Jew, it's not really relevant. She's a Jew that works in Hollywood. She's a Jew that works in the news. She's a Jew that works in this. She comes from she's one specific kind of Jew. These Jews are predisposed already, these kinds of Jews, to like being a little bit not 100%, especially when it comes to Israel. They don't know, they don't have a good relationship with Israel. A lot of them don't have a deep tie to Israel, or they think of Israel as just a little America in the Middle East. They don't have like the healthiest relationship built with our country. So I'm not shocked. Like I wouldn't be shocked if a Jew in Hollywood would ask the same kind of question.
Or she's making the bad guys look good. Either way, it's just another reminder. I want everybody to know that's why mainstream media is on its last leg
That's
and
a better
dying
point.
because of that type of. She's 83 years old, and I know my mom's almost 80. She's doing good. But what type of question? How insensitive is that to ask someone that literally just survived probably one of the worst experiences that him or anybody else is going to deal with, and she asked him that question.
Do you think she's asking a political question, or maybe let's be fair to her? Do you think she's asking a question that she really was thinking about? Like, do you think she's asking the question that she really thought maybe the terrorists were starving and so they didn't even have any food to give to you?
Here's what I would say, Patrick, in regards to that. Okay, let me chime in real quick, because at the end of the day, you're watching my video because you want to hear my thoughts, right? The reality is, if she doesn't know that Hamasniks, okay, and the general population of Gaza has phenomenally gotten fatter in the last year, and just and she's not able to quantify the sheer number of thousands, tens of thousands of food trucks that have entered the Gaza Strip, and the tons of food that have entered the Gaza Strip since October 8th, since this whole thing started. If she's not able to understand that, nor she wasn't given that information for her team, she shouldn't be there interviewing the hostages. I should be there interviewing the hostages, not her. That's my stake on it. Doesn't matter whether she had good intentions with the question or not. If she doesn't know the sheer amount of food that has entered the Gaza Strip and how much thousands of tons of food Hamas has stolen from aid trucks, I don't even want to say from the Palestinian people. I want to say from aid trucks, and has used it to feed their soldiers, to feed their terrorists, maybe she shouldn't be there conducting the interview. I don't know. Maybe it's a weird thing on my end. I don't think that's so crazy.
Because if you're a terrorist, do you think you have a hard time getting access to anything? You're terrorizing, so which means you do what? You're willing to do anything and everything at all costs to get food, money, shelter.
Yeah.
You're a terrorist. You terrorize.
Yeah. And
right?
but did you hear? You heard her. Before this, he goes, no. Oh, I'm sorry. He goes, no. They're eating in front of me and teasing me and taunting me.
Yeah.
Which is, it's just, it's unbelievable.
Thoughts?
What I did the same thing you just did. I rewound it a couple times. I wanted to make sure I understood context, because I had a real reaction at first. I was like, what are you thinking? That was what I was thinking. And I think this shows, in my opinion, I think this shows she has a predisposition. You can always tell when you interview somebody or you talk to somebody, you ask one or two questions and they give you one or two answers and you're like, okay, I can see which way this person leans. We've all said that in our minds when we've interviewed somebody for a job or you've spoken to somebody you just met. Oh, I see which way this person, I see which way the wind blows with this person. All those phrases that run through our heads. In this, the word that came to my head, I said, wow, I wonder if Lesley Stahl doesn't have a predisposition that favors the Palestinian situation and the Hamas and Gaza situation, and so she doesn't even realize it, but her questions are coming out showing doubt to the other side because she's got this predisposition. In the Old West, they used to say, you walk into a court and if the judge is already frowning, forget it. You're guilty. You know what I mean? Then that used to be the thing. It says when you walked in the court, what the judge, he was frowning. Okay, you're done. And it kind of feels like that. And I look at this. She's a career journalist. She's had a distinguished career, regardless of what you think of her individual politics that she's displayed. But it just felt to me.
By the way, everything I'm saying, I don't know jack shit about her politics. I know her from this show. I've seen her a handful of times. I don't even know if she's pro-Israel or anti-Israel. I have no idea. By all means, she could be like one of those like sort of semi-pro-Israel Jews from Hollywood. I don't know. I don't know enough about her. But what I can say is, without the rest of the context, this question just fucking stupid. Just a stupid fucking question. And ridiculous that she asked it.
That she had a predisposition.
I want to take Adam Sosnick's perspective because he's a Jew and I like hearing his thoughts.
So, for some reason, I'm actually not that offended by her question. So, let's give it some context. So, she's interviewing a hostage who was released.
Yeah.
And the tone of the questioning is maybe what I would find an issue with, but she's asking that question to the wrong person. So the question of whether Israel is having a blockade of food and goods into Gaza certainly could be had because they are. Now, why are they doing that? Why would you blockade a country from importing goods? Because oftentimes those goods are terrorist items, right? So it's like, The whole conversation that we're having here in America is building a wall. Why do we want to build a wall? To maybe stop illegal things from coming in the country, whether it's people, whether it's trafficking, whether it's drugs, whether it's guns. And we all know how powerful the cartel is in Mexico. People in Mexico were, I think in 1 week, like 20 politicians, were no longer running, if you know what I mean, because they were dead. So, last week, it was something very, very, very unique that happened in Gaza. Do you know what that was? There was a protest against a government in that region from the Palestinians. And who do you think they were protesting against?
Hamas.
They were protesting against Hamas. So you hear this conversation and this slogan, Free Palestine, and Palestine. Go ahead, play it.
I wonder what happened to them after this, though.
Right. So you hear Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. What does that look like? What does that mean? Free Palestine. Often when people tell me free Palestine, I say yes, from Hamas, right? Free the people of Iran from the mullahs and the ayatollahs. Free Lebanon from Hezbollah. Free Yemen from the Houthis. Free Iraq from Al-Qaeda and ISIS, whatever it may be. It's these terrorist groups that are effectively terrorizing the people. And it's the armies, the democratic elected armies, whether it's Israel, whether it's the U.S., whether it's even the people of Lebanon, who are like, yeah, we just want to not have terrorism in our country. We had a meeting with, I won't say his name, someone pretty high up in the Middle East, and Saudi, and they had a major problem. There's a sect of Islam in Saudi specifically called Wahhabism. And Wahhabism is a very strict, literal definition of Islam. To my Muslim friends out there, if I'm not getting the definition right, forgive me.
Also, Wahhabism is kind of like the status quo that started, like a lot of the violent Islamic ideology we've seen that from my generation. I'm 28 years old. From my generation, from like the late 90s till now, a lot of that has been Saudi-backed Wahhabism. Now, the government of Saudi has taken a pretty anti-Wahhabism, or at least anti-Islamic terror jihadi group Wahhabism ideology, and they've really progressed and they've become very open-minded. But a lot of that stems from Saudi Arabia, and so where that stance of those Gulf states once was a couple decades back.
But MBS, Crown Prince MBS, basically, when he took office, he's like, no more of this. I'm the king, the Crown Prince. I'm running this country. Because they understand the threat that Islamic extremism and jihadism brings to their own countries. Remember, we played a clip of, I think it might have been from the UAE, and he was giving an interview about how the West is doomed because they're coddling illegal immigration.
We talked about this yesterday.
I'm going to say it in English about what the West doesn't understand and Europe doesn't understand. And she goes, no, it's okay. We have subtitles. He goes, no, I'm going to say it in English so you don't get this right. He's like, if you don't stamp out.
Listen, this whole take with this journalist is fucking ridiculous. Like, she definitely should not have asked Keith Siegel this question. It's a pretty ridiculous question. I'm not offended by it. It's just, like, if we're not going to have respect for the hostages who sat 500 days in Hamas captivity, if we're not going to show them, like, the baseline level of respect you would to the most innocent Palestinian civilian, if we're not going to make BBC documentaries about them, the mainstream media is going to shun their stories out of the mainstream as fast as possible. Mark my words. If we're not going to show them the littlest respect on 60 Minutes, what is there left in your mainstream rhetoric of the Jewish people? What is left for you with Israel? How much can you possibly coddle to the anti-Israel side? How much do you want to play with that fire? And what do you think it will bring you? Tell me. I've been extremely disappointed for months now, for years now, by the mainstream media's takes on Israel. But this is just like one other nail inside of the coffin to just prove it to us that they can't be trusted. And I really have to say I'm so grateful for each and every single one of the thousands of you who watch my videos and interact. Sorry, not thousands. At this point, it's millions. We broke around like between 6 to 10 million views this month. I'm not 100% sure because I didn't look at the analytics perfectly, but we brought in millions upon millions of views this month, and I appreciate every single one of you wanting to watch my videos to get my nuanced take on this as somebody who lives in the Middle East and an entire family came from the Middle East. I appreciate it that you guys rather get your information from me rather than these bullshitters from the mainstream media who don't provide us with anything other than bullshit rhetoric. So I appreciate you all. And if you want to support the important work that I do here, get your White Colonizer sweater right now on the travelingclad.com. Get a White Colonizer mug, a hat, a shirt, whatever you want it. We got it in the travelingclad.com. Or consider becoming a Patreon, buy me a coffee, PayPal, supporting the channel. See you in the next one. I love you a long time. Goodbye. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, buy me a coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on the travelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.